Okay, so now we got two like this without tabs and two square ones that do have tabs. Now, one of the ones with tabs you're gonna set aside. We're done with this one. This is just a square hammock as is. I'm gonna add that to my little pile that I'm making. Okay, so now we're gonna take the two that don't have tabs and the one that does have tabs, and we're gonna make a tiered hammock. And how we do this is I keep the top print on the top, and then all the other prints I put print side down. So when you see it in the cage, it'll be like that, with this other layer also with the print side down like this. Okay, so what we're gonna need to do is take off your thing and expose the free arm of your machine. And then, just simply by folding in half, find the approximate center, and then we're gonna clip this in place right here. And this is where the clips come in handy, because they can get all these layers and these aren't going anywhere. That's pretty secure right there. And we're going to do that on the same for the other sides. And that's also why I like to do the seam on these square hammocks in the center, is because we're going to go along the seam again. So it's not going to be too unsightly to have just this short seam in the middle. The hammocks are my only thing I make that have an exposed seam on the flannel, minus the tabs. So, gonna line these up. This doesn't have to be perfect. Your sugar gliders aren't going to criticize your work. If they do, be scared. Okay, and now that we got this, it's going to look like this when we're done with this layer, and with these, you can add as many layers as you want. I like to do 3. I have one that has 5 layers, and that's because I made 4 squares, and I forgot to put tabs on one of them, so I made a 5th square and put tabs on that one. So, and then I would use a 12-inch square. You could use a 10-inch square. You can use a 13-inch square. I want to go bigger than 13 inches, but, it's all up to you, and it's all... how big your cage is. If you want one with 6 tiers, if you have a tall cage, then that's fine. Just remember that, you do enough tiers like this, and it's going to get heavy, and when sugar gliders start climbing on it, you'll want something very secure to hang it from. I use C-links, which are just plastic chain links that have an opening in the side. So if I were to do more than, 4 layers of something, especially this size, I would probably use some... shower hooks, something that locks and that has a little bit more strength to it. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna flip this over to make sure that we get these little corners, not really corner, this side. We want to make sure that this side is secured to the front. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna sew on this side to make sure this whole piece gets secured. And the free arm is exposed mostly for the next layer, is we're going to really need that open for. So we're going to get that out of the way. And then it's also useful if you have the extra high lifter foot on your machine. Those are helpful. So you want to do a couple forward, a couple back to make sure it's secure. You can remove your clip and then just go all the way across. And for this, I'm using the edge of my foot mostly for a guide. And then you're gonna get close to the end, and then you want to do some back stitching. And then go ahead and hold your place with another piece of jumper fabric. haha, I ran out of bobbin thread on the last one. I have since filled my bobbin again, and I finished this side. With my other machine, I have a drop-in bobbin, so I can see when I'm running out of thread. On this one, I have a traditional bobbin case, so it's sometimes I don't realize that right away. Especially when I'm going on a short seam where this seam's, you know, about 2 inches long. I don't really think, you know, I'm gonna run out of bobbin thread, but you can see this little line of stitching is this line of stitching on the back holding these two layers together. And this is pretty deep. There's a pretty deep groove right here. If you want to count how many layers we're going through, there's 4 layers of flannel, you know, one for this piece, one for this piece, and then 4 layers of fleece. This is also one of those times where if you have a computerized machine, it may not want to go through all these layers. This mechanical machine is a Janome 153-112. It's one of the Hello Kitty ones. It's got 12 stitches and adjustable stitch length, but this machine goes through a lot more layers than my computerized brother machine, and it doesn't choke at all. The only problems I have with it is where the thread gets tangled up on the inside a little bit. It gets hung up on something, and that's where my all my issues come from. But usually if I just manually turn the hand wheel, those issues resolve themselves almost instantly. So having a mechanical machine for things like this is very, very nice. Having a computerized machine for other things is also very, very nice. I have mini decorative stitches, and I have an alphabet on there that I can embroider names and things on. So it's really nice to have that machine, but, you know, a nice workhorse mechanical machine is always nice to have, especially if you want to do thick, bulky things like make sugar glider things, which is something I like doing. And now we're going to go on to the next corner and not run out of thread because I just refilled it. So we're going to a couple stitches in. Stitches back, line up real good, and sometimes you're gonna have to yank and pull on the other end to make sure everything's gonna feed right. And a handful of stitches backwards, handful of stitches forward, and we are done with this side. I'm going to finish up these other two sides, and then I'll come back and show you how we put the next layer on, and any subsequent layers after that that you may want to add will be added just like the next layer. Okay, we got the other two sides on, so now we got something that looks like this. It's got the 4 tabs, and it's got a little layer. I can get my hand in there. Yeah, see? It's got this nice little cozy spot for your gliders. Like I said, mine absolutely love these things. I see them in it all the time. When there's no activity in the cage and they're not in their pouch, they're in here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is that these corners are on these sides. We want to put these corners on these sides. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to find the approximate center and line them all up. We're going to do that on all 4 of them. And like I said, this is going to be applicable if you're adding 4, 5, 6, 12 layers. It doesn't matter. You're going to do it the same way. Add each corner to the center of the long side. This corner I didn't push out quite well enough, so let me find it real quick. So we have a nice flat-ish edge to attach that to. When I get a bigger cage for my gliders, I'll probably make them another one that has 4 or 5 layers, but this one, they got a pretty small, they got not a tiny cage, they have a Brisbane cage right now, so 3 layers is good. Okay, so when we're done, it's gonna look like this with the 3rd layer. Okay, and the reason, I'm a messy person, sorry. Only when I'm working. When I start, I have everything organized and it's neat and tidy, but once I start working, yeah, that goes away. So, because this is now attached, we're gonna put this into the free arm of the machine. We're gonna scooch this down. And then we're going to maneuver however we need to get that starting point under the foot. My needle is not in the right spot. There it is. Okay. So line up these edges. You know, once again, perfection isn't what we're going for. We're going for function. So, I mean, if you can be perfect and have it functional, then more power to you. I'm not one of those people. And then, you know, same as we did on the other ones. Few stitches forward, few stitches back, and then all the way through. And then now we have one edge that is now the 3 layer hammock. I'm going to show you one more edge and then you should be able to finish the other 2 on your own. Once again, we're going to open up between the first 2 layers to get it into the free arm. Do what we need to get it to the right position underneath the foot. Get the foot in position. Few forward, few back. My machine is not being totally cooperative right now, of course. And if you're having problems, you know, go slow. Okay. And you want to make sure you clip all your threads really, really close to the edge. You don't want your gliders eating anything or finding something to tear up or pull out or anything like that. If you got gliders like mine can be quite terrible when it comes to their stuff. So you can see that here's the second edge, and you can't even see the line of stitching. This is the seam from closing it up, the one you can see, but the seam is so buried right here, you can't even see the stitches on the fleece side. And they're pretty buried on the flannel side too. They're pretty deep in there. Can't even really see the stitches. You can just see that there's a line of indentation there. So, and then you're gonna do the same with the 2 remaining sides, and then you will and then, you know, keep adding as many layers as you want, and then you will have your finished hammock.